Hello, my name is Nadia, and I'm going to present the slides for digital transformation and SMEs and the employee involvement in digital transformation. Okay, so I'll cover this presentation outline. This is part of my PhD proposal. Firstly is the introduction and context setting, followed by the literature review looking at organizational change and the impact on employee, especially when companies transform digitally. And finally, there is also the identification of the research gap and also the expected output. Context of discussion is that digital transformation happens when companies involve technology with their business strategy, and the purpose is to improve operations, to improve competition, and also serve their customers better. So there's a lot of dimensions, especially literature is focused on the technical element of digital transformation. There's also the employee element that I will be investigating for my studies. All right, so this is how SMEs are important to the nation as well as to the world. So there's a lot of businesses worldwide that are SMEs. In Malaysia, there's about 98%. They are engines of economic growth, contributing to GDP as well as to employment. So there's also direct and indirect economic value. So in terms of adoption of digital features, it is on the uptrend. It's actually growing, and what's interesting is that especially during the pandemic, there appear to be accelerated digitalization. All right, so these are some percentages. Yeah, so a lot of companies, 83% and above, consider that they consider that there are new business opportunities from digital transformation, and the budget for IT in digital transformation is expected to continue to grow annually at about 5%. And right now in 2021 is about 51% plus minus. And however, the last point, the last statistics is in terms of the perceived success rate. A lot of companies don't consider that their companies have been successful in digital transformation. So basically the question that is presented here is whether if employees are more involved, would there be higher success rate? So this is data from Gartner to look at to support the investment in digital transformation that's happening across the world. So this is also the acceleration because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic, especially in Asia Pacific. The acceleration is actually very, very fast, yeah, compared to the rest of the world. And why do companies invest in digital transformation? Mainly to improve operations, that's 40%, improve the time to market in terms of their product, as well as improve the consumer experience, especially after the pandemic, because the consumers prefer to interact online compared to before. All right, so however, yeah, this is the however, whereby the employees feel left behind. And this is done in a few research. And there is also this IDC report that says um, there should be employee first approach when digitalizing in companies. All right, so now let's focus on the specific employee elements. Okay, so this is what we can probably relate to, where we work from home, our children are also studying, and home space is now also the workspace, and this is also reported in the BBC. You see the illustration of visuals of the workspace being erased, and now it has gone into the home space. All right, so the challenge for employees is that there is now work-life imbalance rather, where employees tend to work more, and it is harder to balance now compared to before. Before it was already a bit difficult, it's a bit elusive as mentioned in this article. Now it is harder to balance. All right, so in terms of, okay, these are some articles related to union, yeah, union movement, collective bargaining, collective movement, union. So what's going to happen with the union? So will the collective agreements be renegotiated? It is possible, yeah. So because labor right now, the employees are now in a weaker position in terms of having more work to do, and also accommodating their home space to workspace, yeah, or even the issue on work hours has to be decided. And these are the differences between West and East. Okay, what's the movement in the West? Yeah, for example, in UK and Europe, there was some research, especially emerging after March 2020, after the pandemic, after January, especially after January, February, and March 2020, whereby the approach tends to be on employee mental position, psychological care, occupational safety and health, for example, where the workspace now is at home, how do you then balance things like ergonomics and the design of the work area? Because home is not designed for work, yeah. And also there were some discussions in Spain, yeah. The fourth research is from Spain, where collective agreement may have to be renegotiated to cater for the new terms of work. Okay, however, on the east side, yeah, especially in the Southeast Asia, there was research to cover that there is limited legal protection and weaker collective rights. So hence it poses a challenge in our region. Okay, so on the other hand, another challenge is how do we then involve the youth, yeah, in this element. So we see the gig economy on the rise, as well as increasing number of young people not too interested in the union movement. So this is what I'm proposing, the looking at the elements of organizational change, the psychological contract and terms and conditions of employee contract. And at the end of the day, there is a proposed implementation guideline. Okay, so this is the research gap. And the blueprint will cover the rights of employer and employee in relation to the digital transformation plan. I'm Nadiah. That's my email. Thank you for listening to the presentation.